Sri Gurubhyo Namaha children, welcome to online session. In the previous class, we were discussing about the purification of colloids. So, in the first slide, I told about the preparation of colloids. We have seen so many methods of preparation. Particularly, we are dealing with lyophobic colloids where the colloids are hatred towards the solvent. Where the colloidal solutions are hatred towards the solvent, we can call those colloids as lyophobic colloids. So preparation we have completed, then we have started with the purification techniques. So in the last class, I told about the various purification techniques. Why colloids has to be purified? Because it contains the impurities as electrolytes. We need small concentration of electrolytes for the stability of colloids. But if the concentration of electrolytes is greater in the colloidal solution, that leads to unstable. The colloidal solution will become unstable. In order to avoid that, we have removed the excess of impurities that is present in the colloidal solution. I have talked about the three different techniques of purification. Already we have seen in the previous class. That is dialysis, electrodialysis and ultrafiltration. What is dialysis? Already we have seen. The colloidal solution is taken in a semi-permeable bag. What is that semi-permeable bag? The bag that is made up of parchment paper or animal bladder. So, those type of lining, when a particular lining is made in a bag, definitely it will allow a particular type of particle to pass through. So, what we have done, I have taken the colloidal solution in a semi-permeable bag and it is kept immersed in a dispersion medium. So, as a result, what happened? The impurities, that is electrolytes, which are present in the colloidal solution, it got dispersed. So, through the pores in the semi-permeable bag, the impurities started to disperse in the solvent. What is the solvent? What is the word we are using for solvent here? Dispersion medium. So, like this, we have purified the colloid by means of dialysis. Then I told you this process of dialysis is very slow. So, in order to quicken the process, in order to progress the process, what we are doing? We are doing the electrodialysis. What is electrodialysis? Passing electric current and separating the impurities. We can call it as electrodialysis. That also I told on that day. We have seen one experiment where the colloidal solution is taken in a bag, where both the sides are separated by the animal bladder and electrodes are immersed in the dispersion medium. Both the sides we had dispersion medium. On passing current, depending upon the impurities, if positive impurities are there, it has moved towards the negative side and dispersed in the dispersion medium. If negative impurities are there, it has moved towards the positive side and got dispersed in the dispersion medium. And we have talked about the ultrafiltration also. What is ultrafiltration? Using a model filter paper, that is ultrafilter, where the pores are very small in size, so it will allow only the particular type of particle to pass through. As a result, what we have done, we have separated the impurities by ultrafilters. We have called that method as ultrafiltration. After that, I told you, in order to quicken the ultrafiltration process, suction is applied or pressure is applied so that we can quicken the process and immediately we can remove the impurities from the colloidal solution. So, all these are the techniques we have seen in the purification of colloids. Today, we are going to discuss about the properties of colloids. After separating the impurities from the colloidal solution, we are going to see what are the various properties of colloidal solution. One by one, we are going to see in detail. Okay, children. Now, let us discuss the properties of colloids one by one in detail. So, I want everybody's attention here. We are going to see the different properties of colloidal solution. The first one, we are going to talk about the heterogeneous nature. Already I told about heterogeneous nature. What is heterogeneous nature? A mixture that consists of two or more substances. So we can call such a mixture as heterogeneous. So what is heterogeneous? Mixture containing two or more substances. Mixture containing two or more substances, we can call it as heterogeneous mixture. So, the first one is heterogeneous nature. Colloids are heterogeneous nature because it consists of two or more substances that is present in as a mixture. So we can call it as heterogeneous nature. The next one is colligative properties. The third one is optical property. Colligative property, that is properties association. Association of particles. The next one, Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect is nothing but related to light. And Brownian movement, actually it is movement of the particles. So here we are going to discuss about the different properties of colloid. The first one is heterogeneous nature. What is heterogeneous? It will have two or more substances present in the solution. The second one is colligative properties. What is colligative? Actually associating. The particles in a solution are associated together. So we can call those properties as colligative properties. We are going to see so many properties under the colligative properties. The next one is optical property. What is my optic? Optic means nothing but light, related to light. So related to light, the colloidal solution exhibits certain properties. So we can call it as optical property. Under optical property, we are going to see Tyndall effect. We are going to see when a light is passed through a colloidal solution, what happens. We are going to see that. The next one, some of the colloidal solutions are colored in nature. What is the, why it acquires color? What is the nature of the color? Why it is acquiring color? Why it has got the property of acquisition of color? The next one is mechanical property. Under mechanical property, we are having Brownian movement. So Brownian movement means actually we are going to see the colloidal particles in the ultra microscope, where the particles, we can see the particles moving in a continuous zigzag, ceaseless, random motion, non-stop motion. The particles will be moving in a colloidal solution in a non-stop motion. We can call it as Brownian. Why it is Brownian movement? Because it was discovered by Robert Brown. So we can call that movement as Brownian movement. The next one is charge on the colloidal particles. So the last one we are going to see how colloidal charges acquire a charge and why they are, what type of charges they are acquiring, and depending upon that we are going to see two important processes. One is electrophoresis, the other one is electroosmosis. After that, last we are going to talk about coagulation. What is coagulation? Converting colloid into a precipitate. Converting colloid into a precipitate. Colloid is converted into precipitate. We can call it as coagulation. So all these properties we are going to see in detail. So the first one we are going to discuss about the colligative properties. What is colligative properties? Actually, they are the properties of the solutions. So colligative properties are nothing but they are the properties of the solution where that depends on the ratio of the number of solute particles to the number of solvent molecules in a solution. So what are colligative properties? The properties of the solution that depend on the ratio of number of solute particles to the number of solvent molecules. How do you know that? Solution is nothing but it is a mixture of solute and solvent, is it not? So it is a mixture of solute and solvent. Actually, these colligative properties are nothing but the properties of the solution that depend on the ratio of number of solute particles to the number of solvent molecules in a solution, and it does not depend on the nature of the chemical species. So it does not talk about the nature of the species, but it talks about the number of solute particles to the ratio of the number of solute particles to the number of solvent molecules. It does not talk about the nature of the substance. So here we are calculating actually the properties that depend on the ratio of number of solute particles to the number of solvent molecules in the solution, but does not depend on the what is the nature of the particles what we are taking. Now we are going to see what is colligative. So colligative is nothing but it is a Latin word colligatus. So that means bound together. What is bounding together? Associating. Associate together, join together. So all these are the various meanings for colligative. So colligatus. So it is obtained from the Latin word meaning, what is that? Bound together. Particles are bound together. The particles of the colloidal solution are bound together. So we can call those properties as colligative properties. So under colligative properties we are going to see relative lowering of vapor pressure. How vapor pressure is getting lowered. And elevation of boiling point. How the boiling point is increasing. And depression of freezing point. Why freezing point what is the decrease? Reduces. Why the freezing point is reduces. And osmotic pressure. All these things. This is a separate concept where we are going to talk about these properties in a separate chapter. We have the second chapter in physical chemistry, that is in first volume. So it completely talks about solutions. There we are going to talk about colligative properties. So colligative properties, all these properties in that chapter, we are going to see all those properties in detail. And there are derivations also, and based on that we are having numericals also. So separately we are going to study about the colligative properties in the chapter 2. Now we are going to see the, already I told you heterogeneous nature I told about colligative properties. So colloidal solution exhibit colligative properties also. But in this lesson, just I have given introduction about the colligative properties. We are going to discuss about the properties in detail in the second lesson in physical chemistry, where that lesson completely talks about the colligative properties, derivations, and we are going to see some numericals also based on these properties. Heterogeneous nature. Already told about heterogeneous. What is heterogeneous? Two or more. Already I told about heterogeneous. What is heterogeneous? Two or more substances. So it consists of two or more substances. So colloidal system consists of two different phases. What are they? Dispersed phase and dispersion medium. What is dispersed phase? Dispersed phase is a solute. And what is dispersion medium? It is a solvent. So a colloidal solution is heterogeneous in nature, that is it consists of two or more substances. What are the two phases present in colloidal solution? One is dispersed phase, which is nothing but solute. The other one is dispersion medium, which is nothing but solvent. So in a colloidal solution, each particle is contained within its own boundary surfaces. The particles in a dispersed phase which will be in its own boundary surfaces which separate it from the dispersion medium. So the particles in the colloidal solution, particularly I told about two different phases, that is solute phase and solvent phase, dispersed phase and dispersion medium. So the particles in the dispersed phase will be in its own boundary surface which separate it from the dispersion medium, as the particles of the dispersed phase are present in its own boundary surface. So it separates it from the, this boundary separates the particles from the dispersion medium. So colloidal solution, actually we have given here fog, which is a colloid. A property of a colloid is scattering of light, already I told you. So colloid contains particles that is in between the size of true solution and suspension. So here all these are colloidal solution examples. The next one, colloidal particles being bigger aggregates. Colloidal particles are being bigger aggregates. So the number of particles in a colloidal solution. So actually as aggregation, association. So association of particles are taking place, aggregation of particles, association of particles are taking place in a colloidal solution. As a result, the number of particles in a colloidal solution is less. So the value of colligative properties are all small. So what is that actually? What it discusses, what it tells? Actually, the number of particles being here aggregation is taking place. The particles are getting associated. The particles are bound together. The particles are associated together, joined together, bound together. As a result, aggregation, bigger aggregates and the associates, association. Association of number of particles. As a result, what is happening? The size of the particles, that is the value of the colligative properties, are found to be very small. And the next one, we are going to talk about the Tyndall effect. The next property is, we are going to talk about Tyndall effect. What is Tyndall effect? It was first observed by Faraday. So, who has observed this Tyndall effect? Actually, this, what is that? Optical property. So, this Tyndall effect is coming under optical property, which was observed by Faraday after it was, and later it was studied in detail by Tyndall. So, first it was observed by Faraday, and afterwards, this Tyndall effect has been studied in detail by Tyndall in the year 1869, and hence the effect is known as Tyndall effect. So actually, this was first discovered by, what is that, Michael Faraday, and later on it has been studied by Tyndall. So it was called as Tyndall effect. So here, actually, a beam of light is allowed to pass through the colloidal solution. A beam of light is allowed to pass through the colloidal solution. So what is happening? Scattering of light by the colloidal solution is taking place. So a beam of light is allowed to pass through the colloidal solution. Scattering of light is taking place. So this is called Tyndall effect. The illuminated path of the beam is called Tyndall cone. The illuminated part of the beam is called as Tyndall cone here. So actually, so Tyndall effect. Scattering of light by colloidal particles. Scattering of light by colloidal particles. Scattering of light by colloidal particles when a beam of light is passed through. When a beam of light is passed through colloids. So actually, when a beam of light is passed through the colloidal solution, we are discussing the property related to light. So that way it is optical property. So when a beam of light is allowed to pass through the colloidal solution, scattering of light is taking place in the colloidal solution when a beam of light is passed through. So we can call this, what is the property, as Tyndall effect. As it is related to light, we can call it as optical property. The next one, the Tyndall effect can be observed due to scattering of light. So how can it be observed? It can be observed due to the scattering of light. So Tyndall, it is observed due to the scattering of light by dust particles. So scattering of light is taking place by dust particles when a beam of sunlight enters a dark room through a slit. This you would have seen in your houses also, as well as in the cinema theatre, where in the projection hall, in the projection room, we can see when a beam of light is allowed to pass through, we can see the scattering of light by dust particles in the projection hall, in the cinema theatre. So all these are examples for Tyndall effect. It can also be observed in cinema halls, already told you. In cinema halls, during the projection of pictures, when pictures are projected in the cinema halls, scattering of light is taking place because of scattering of light by dust and smoke particles. So even in the projection hall in cinema theatres, the scattering of light is taking place when beam of light is allowed to pass through. So actually what is happening? Projection of pictures. During the projection of picture, scattering of light taking place by dust and smoke particles. So all these are examples for Tyndall effect. The next one, this Tyndall effect is observed only when the following two conditions are satisfied. There are two conditions for the Tyndall effect to carry over. For the conduction of Tyndall effect, there are two factors we have to take into consideration. One is the diameter of the dispersed particles is not much smaller than the wavelength of the light. So the first one, we are going to talk about the diameter of the dispersed particles, the diameter of the particles in the dispersed phase. So the diameter of the particles in the dispersed phase is not much smaller. It should not be much smaller than the wavelength of the light used. So the diameter of the dispersed particles is not much smaller than the wavelength of the light used, and the refractive index of the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium differ greatly. So when you talk about the refractive index, that is sin I by sin r, so we can call it as a refractive index. So the refractive index of the dispersed phase and dispersion medium do not differ greatly in magnitude. And importance of this Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect provides differences. It provides a distinction between the true solution and the colloidal solution. Actually, when a beam of light is allowed to pass through the colloidal solution, already I told you, scattering of light by colloidal solution is taking place, whereas in case of true solution it is not possible. So this slide completely talks about the Tyndall effect. So I have explained about the optical property today. We are going to discuss the other important properties like kinetic property, electrical property in the next class.